What is up, everybody? Hello, welcome to Behind the Layers with Kara Christensen. This podcast is about health, nutrition, beauty, fitness, and everything in between. Anything in that realm where you're living your best life from the inside out. Today's episode is going to be a continuation from what we started from episode 5. Part 1 of this, and it's just such a juicy topic and it's so good, and this doctor has done so much research and so many great things have come out of all of the many years of research that her and her team and other doctors like her have been wanting to share and tried to share and been shut down from sharing. And this is the spot where you're going to see it live now that we're able to showcase all of the things that we find that are facts and not get shut down, canceled, or removed or banned or anything like that. So this is a super amazing episode for the topics of how to get your body back, how to get your life back, your health back, have a better sex drive, have better chances at fertility, fighting cancer, fighting all types of ailments. And it comes down to one simple thing. Melting fat too, that's also in there. But above that is all geared towards one simple thing. Just one simple thing, you guys, and that's what we're covering here today. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you being here. I hope that you had a wonderful weekend. It's snowing here where I am, so the kids are home. If you hear some background noise, that's going to be the kids playing because they got called out of school today because there was a snow. It was a snow day, so they're very excited about that. Very exciting stuff when it comes to snow days in the Carolinas. So let me get over to the rest of the podcast. Remember, this is a continuation. If you want to see the first part of this, you have to go back to episode 5, the original one, where it says how to get healthier and melt fat. I have to remember exactly what that episode's called, but I'm going to go back in and edit the title and put part 1 in so you guys can catch the beginning of that. It is so good. It is so filled with so much great information. The books that are suggested in that are so amazing. So I don't know if anybody knows my home story about my dad having dementia and my journey with that, but for a factual comment to be made out there from doctors, multiple doctors over so many years now of studying of what dementia is and trying to relate it and associate it directly to food and trying to change it into not called dementia but type 3 diabetes is a spectacle to wonder over, because this is something that they're saying with their 100% knowledge and 100% backing, this is something that you can avoid just by the certain foods that you eat or don't eat. I mean, to me, that sounds so mind-blowing and astronomical because it's something that can be avoided. Same thing with cancer. Before cancer becomes active, this is the way that you can avoid that or even cure that in real time. And I'm gonna show you how with the rest of this podcast. It's very simple. It's easy. It's free to do. I'm not gonna say it's easy. Let me back that up. Maybe easy is not the right word because it does take a little willpower on your cord to make that happen. But here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in so we can get started on that. Okay, so this is part 2 of the continuation of what we're calling. They're calling her the miracle doctor, only not because she's come up with this herself, but only because she's the one that's been actively trying to talk about it and get it out there, other than the guy I love who's Dr. Berg. But they've been trying to actively get it out there and going against the system and against the grain on trying to get people to be aware and get people to open their eyes and know that the cure to all of these ailments is super simple, and they're breaking it down for you on how to do that. And it's not a medication you take. It's not a shot. It's not anything extra you have to buy. It's just about what you have to do. So this is very interesting, and I do hope you stay tuned. And if there's anybody that you know that's struggling with any of these ailments, fertility, borderline diabetic or diabetic, fighting cancer, or borderline on that realm, going down a really bad health pattern, their hormones are out of whack, low testosterone, low energy, I mean, pretty much anything across the board there. Fatigue, you're going to find somebody got swelling in their fingers, they got, joint issues. You're going to know somebody that has at least one of those. And this is a cure-all for all of those. So take a listen.
So think about, let's go back to
struggling with complicated content and editing software? I was too. Riverside really simplified things. Riverside makes the entire...
You drip behind our backs.
kind of.
What'd you say?
The joke.
Okay, let's go back here a little bit.
Multiple studies, but women don't. So if you're not having a cycle, you're not getting rid of estrogen. You're not getting rid of so many toxins, and it's just staying inside of you. That's a major problem.
Okay, here we go.
Controversial idea, but it rings true for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I know this because I've had women very close to me in my life talk to me about this exact thing, and specifically not having their menstrual cycle, and then
okay, so this topic
focusing on the stresses in their life, and then
this won't apply to you
their menstrual cycle coming back. People very, very close to me, in fact, that I've struggled with because of this exact challenge.
Yep.
It is a controversial idea, though, isn't it? It's slightly problematic as an idea. Is there any scientific basis for that idea?
Well, we know based off science that when cortisol goes up, progesterone goes down.
Cortisol is the stress hormone.
Yeah. So when you're under stress, cortisol goes up. And so if let's say it's the week before your period, that's when you're supposed to have the most amount of progesterone. If it doesn't matter if you're trying to run a marathon, doesn't matter if you have a work deadline, doesn't matter if you're skimping on sleep, as long as cortisol is going up, progesterone's not going to make her appearance. And if she doesn't make her appearance, then the uterine lining won't shed. That's been proven over and over. Every hormone expert would agree, multiple studies, but women don't realize that. So if there's ever a time to mind your stress, it's the week before your period, which is why you don't fast the week before your period, because that's a bit of a stressor. It's why you shouldn't train for, a big Spartan race or a CrossFitting event or run a marathon. You should be doing more yoga and recovery the week before your period. Okay. This is why we should prioritize sleep the week before our periods, because we don't want cortisol up.
Prioritize sleep.
So in an interesting world, this is sort of the vision I have for women right now, is what if there is a week before our period, we have the capability of maybe not working as hard. They're like Spain, they're giving a 3-day menstrual. And with no questions asked. Before
the period? Or?
Well, it's no questions asked. They anticipated it that women would use it the first 3 days of her period.
So
but a woman can use it anytime.
3 days.
I say use it the 3 days before your cycle is supposed to come.
During your period.
Interesting. Have you shared this idea before publicly?
I've on several podcasts talked about it. I had a great interview with Kate Northrup on my podcast, and she's an entrepreneur, and she actually maps her whole business cycle around her menstrual cycle. And so we had a beautiful conversation about this. And she said that she doesn't do as many Zoom calls. She tells her team that she's going to get off work a little bit earlier on those days. She slows everything down. Her workload goes dramatically down. And she said what ended up happening is that when her period started, her productivity went up. So see, when estrogen comes in on starting day 1, day 2 of our menstrual cycles, estrogen makes us really mentally clear, makes us very verbal. Estrogen's an incredible hormone for productivity. But if you aren't minding that back half of your cycle and you're not slowing down then you're coming into your period and you hear so many women who are like, I'm cramping, I'm bleeding a lot, it's really painful. That's because you didn't mind the back half of your cycle.
And what's the sort of evolutionary basis for all of this? Why is the body doing this? Why is the body not going to give us our periods? I mean, listen, I don't have a period, but I have a version of it, right? I'm sure men have some kind of.
You guys you work off a 24-hour cycle.
Okay.
So every 15 minutes you get testosterone.
Okay.
We joke about that, right?
What do you say? You drip behind our backs.
Kind of.
What'd you say?
The joke is like, if you don't like what your husband's saying, just ask him in 15 minutes. He might say something different.
Oh, that's what you've been saying.
That's true, fellas.
Just letting you in on what might be going on behind the scenes.
You might mind
so
differently.
what is the evolutionary basis for why that is true?
Every 15 minutes.
So think about let's go back to our primal days. So, testosterone is meant to have you go out and hunt. It's a very motivating. You get it every 15 minutes. So, God, this sounds, as I'm saying it, sounds so sexist. But when we look at the body, this is actually how we're built. So your body was driven to go hunt and go find and go achieve. That's the number one hormone that it works off of. For the women, we are meant to be more outgoing before ovulation. Okay, why is that?
Oh.
We need to connect. We need to start to feel that mental clarity. Estrogen makes your hair really full and your skin really glow, and it starts to make us more beautiful, all leading up to ovulation.
Okay.
Once ovulation hits, now we have estrogen at our peak, we have a little bit of testosterone, and we have a little bit of progesterone. Okay, well, why is that? Because now our libido's up, we're motivated to reproduce, we're looking beautiful because we have so much estrogen going through our body, we're verbal, we can connect, and we have progesterone to keep us calm.
Interesting.
So we're supposed to reproduce when ovulation hits. And then the back half, technically, we would have a fertilized egg and we would be winding down. And if we didn't get a fertilized egg, then we're supposed to relax so we can go back and do the extroverted piece of ourselves in the front half of our cycle. So it's all based off of reproduction.
Oh, wow.
So I need some advice then, because I'm in a relationship and I want to understand, I guess this goes both ways. I want my girlfriend to understand how hormones are influencing my behavior.
Yeah.
And I want to know how hormones are influencing her behavior.
Yeah.
What advice have you got for me?
Well, the first is, do you know her cycle?
Hi, Bo.
We're going to talk about sugar again.
This is too good.
Yeah.
So sugar, it's really bad, isn't it? Who's to blame?
No, seriously, no.
Tell me about your childhood.
No, get to know her cycle. I'm going to give you gold right now. Let me give you gold.
It's important to know yourself.
So
the cycle
day 1 of her cycle, day 1 to day 10, she's building estrogen. First couple of days of her cycle, just let her be. Like she's transitioning out of the back half of her cycle. She might be having some heavier bleeding. She's moving into that extrovert.
That are tuned in
based off of reproduction.
So I need some advice then, because I'm in a relationship and I want to understand.
This is very important.
I guess this goes both ways.
I
want my girlfriend to understand how hormones are influencing my behavior.
Yeah.
And I want to know how hormones are influencing her behavior.
Yeah.
What advice have you got for me?
Well, the first is, do you know her cycle?
Here we go. Because it happens every month for the most part.
Moving on. We're going to talk about sugar again.
This is too good.
So sugar, it's really bad, isn't it? Who's to blame?
No, seriously, no.
Tell me about your childhood.
No, get to know her cycle. I'm going to give you gold right now. Let me give you gold. Okay.
Here we go.
Day 1 of her cycle, day 1 to day 10, she's building estrogen. First couple of days of her cycle, just let her be. Like she's transitioning out of the back half of her cycle. She might be having some heavier bleeding. She's moving into that extroverted place. So the first 2 days, give her some space. Now day 3, estrogen's starting to build. So you're going to notice she's more verbal. She's going to be more present. She might feel more outgoing. She's going to feel like she wants to connect with you. That's going to go all the way through ovulation, like in the middle of ovulation, which is about day 12, day 13, where all of a sudden estrogen's at its peak. If you have any conflict you want to resolve with her, do it between like day 2 and day 12 of her cycle. She's going to be so ready to handle any conflict with you.
Day 2 and day 12.
Day 2, like literally.
That's when I pick my battles.
I had a dad come to me and tell me that he was struggling to understand his teenage daughter, and I said, "Well, do you know her cycle?" And he's like, "No, I don't." I said, "Well, you would never ever bring a conflict to her on day 18 or 19 of her cycle.
What a great guideline.
Bring it to her on day 10, and now she's going to talk to you."
I'm going to say something which is really embarrassing here. I know nothing about menstrual cycles. At no point in my life did anybody teach me about menstrual cycles.
Okay, listen. Okay. This is such a beautiful guideline for you fellas. Like, seriously, whether you're a dad or a brother to a sister or your mom, well, maybe not mom, depending on your age, but your girlfriend or your wife or fiance or whatever the case, this information is so vital. This could be a game changer in your relationship, like 100,000,000%. I think it's so important. You put the correlation together. People are just like, oh, it's your period or your menstrual cycle, however you skate around the word, the topic in your household. But how incredibly important is it for you to know these things because of exactly what she just explained, the 12-day cycle of what we're going through, not just our bodies physically, but what is releasing chemically in our body, what's going on with our mental. It is such a huge game changer. If you guys had this, you better believe that we would take the time to learn about it for you men, because we would want to understand it better so we could know when to approach something and when not to approach something. Like she's saying, if you're not connecting with your daughter or she's being a little, unhinged in certain times, maybe she's going through her period cycle when it's the time that you need to leave them alone because you feel like you're being, like, all these changes are going on, all these extra hormones are being released, like things are a little out of whack in those first few days. But give it a little time, make it to maybe like day 6. Like she's saying, approach it between day 2 to 12, but I'm saying like day 3, to 10 would be your sweet spot of when to approach certain topics. And our happy space is going to be a little bit more there, ready to handle more. Don't put more and more on the plate in those first few days when your body is changing rapidly and going through so much in that space. And the more that you try to connect and you put the effort in learning about that, and don't be so dumbfounded like, oh, I'm just a guy, I don't know. If you really care for someone and you really care about wanting to have a stronger, better connection with that person, which if you're married, I'm sure you do, or if it's your sibling, I'm sure you do, you want to have that stronger connection with someone. You want to take the time to learn about them because it's going to make them feel loved and feel heard and understood the same way you would want if you were going through something, some stresses. Maybe you got a demotion at work or got fired or whatever, and you're going through the things that a man goes through mentally. You would want someone to be there, not throwing more stuff on your plate, but that's going to be there compassionate and listening and understanding to you. And women want the same thing. And what we deal with every single month is the same thing, and it's the same cycle. So for you guys to take a little effort to learn that is not just going to benefit you with your relationship, it's going to benefit you probably in the bedroom too. I mean, not with your sister. We're talking about relationship, marriage, girlfriend, whatever the situation. But with your sister, it's going to strengthen your bond if you're knowing, okay, I'm not going to come to her. Yes, this annoyed me, but I know she's in her cycle right now, so I'm just going to avoid this. And, same thing with your mother if you're young enough and your mother still has her cycle like that. It's being understanding and compassionate to what the women are going through literally every single month. For half of the month, almost, our bodies are going through these changes. So it's so important that you listen to what she's saying here, because she's saying if you want to strengthen those relationships and you want a time where your wife or your girlfriend or your fiance or whatever might be more in the mood to, to be romantical with you, then listen to this woman when she's saying it's the best time to approach those things, and listen to the best time to approach those things when there's a topic that's going to be, you're not sure how the outcome's going to go, or you're a little bit nervous about having that conversation. But these are the time frames to do it, because this is when she might be a little more easygoing on the way that the conversation's handled. So if I were you, fellas, I would be writing this information right here down, because it is so vital to your relationships. I mean, 100%. I mean, my husband knows mine, and taking that time to learn that and maneuver around it and be gentle with it has exponentially grown our marriage into a deeper space. Just learning the other person in general is going to take you into that next level. So here's what she says about this.
Day 1 to day 10, she's building estrogen. First couple of days of her cycle, just let her be. Like she's transitioning out of the back half of her cycle. She might be having some heavier bleeding. She's moving into that extroverted place. So the first 2 days, give her some space. Now day 3, estrogen's starting to build. So you're going to notice she's more verbal. She's going to be more present. She might feel more outgoing. She's going to feel like she wants to connect with you. That's going to go all the way through ovulation, like in the middle of ovulation, which is about day 12, day 13, where all of a sudden estrogen's at its peak. If you have any conflict you want to resolve with her, do it between like day 2 and day 12 of her cycle.
So great.
She's going to be so ready to handle any conflict with you.
Let me write that down. Day 2 and day 12.
Day 2, like literally,
I pick my battles.
I had a dad come to me and tell me that he was struggling to understand his teenage daughter. And I said, well, do you know her cycle? And he's like, no, I don't. I said, well, you would never, ever bring a conflict to her on day 18 or 19 of her cycle. Bring it to her on day 10. And now she's going to talk to you.
I'm going to say something which is really embarrassing here. I know nothing about menstrual cycles. At no point in my life did anybody teach me about menstrual cycles. The only insight I have in my life to what a menstrual cycle is overhearing my sister when I was younger talking about it.
Yeah.
And when I say overhearing, I mean maybe a sentence. And then maybe my girlfriend once in a while, she'll say, oh, I'm coming into my cycle or whatever. She'll say I'm on my period. That's for most men. That's in fact the extent of the education we have about the female reproductive menstrual cycles.
Yep.
So talk to me like I'm an idiot about the menstrual cycle.
Okay, before she talks to him like he's an idiot about the menstrual cycle, like his words, not mine. I want to say in my household, I remember being a kid and I used to hate being in the dark all the time about, not in the dark physically, but the figure of speech about everything. Like it was like, even though I felt like I can understand what's going on if you just explain it to me, I always said to myself, I'm not going to do that to my kids when I have kids. I'm going to let them know. I'm going to talk to them in a way, of course, like things that are appropriate. But if it's changing my life too as a kid, this is what I would think. If it's changing my life too as a kid, I should be able to know what's going on and not just be told, go here, do this, do that. I want to know, guys. I'm capable of understanding. So I always give my children the benefit of the doubt like that. And I sit down and explain it to them in a way that they can understand what's going on and not feel so confused about everything and left to wonder with their own mind, because that's when these kids start creating trauma situations because they're left in the dark and they don't know what's going on. Nobody's talking to them about it. All these big life changes are happening around them. So I'm not saying the menstrual cycle is that, but it's just a part of how I communicate in my household because it's important. I live in a household with mostly boys, mostly, male gender. So it's very important that I let them know, listen, when it's the time of my cycle, I am exhausted, like my body's going through stuff, like I'm hurting, I am exhausted, I am like mentally fried. I cannot take on any more on these few days. What's going on in my body is this. And I'll explain to them what's going on in my body. They listen to what I have to say, and then they have a better understanding so they can navigate in the future better. And I think they're going to be better for it because when my boys grow up to have, well, one is now in a serious relationship, and I hope that that's carried on, that he's learned something from that, and it's something to behold and show some compassionate for, because it sucks. It is a time where it's like, it's not fun. You're bleeding, you're hurting, you're bloated, you're tired, you can't think clearly in the very beginning, but it is true. It does clear up and you feel like you're like on some type of like ADD medicine and you're like so focused and like everything is just vibrant, and the whole thing changes when that estrogen kicks in and it's a flood of estrogen. That is a great time to have those conversations that you've been holding off on having, or those conflict arenas that you feel like you know that you're headed into. Those are great times to do that. And there's also great times to do a little whining and dining, so you can get in that romantic space again. So learning the cycle, fellas, is so important. But this man is saying, I don't know the cycle. I don't know anything about it. Please break it down. So here's the doctor and what she's going to say.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long is it?
Oh, I love this. And do you know that most women don't know?
Oh, really?
So, I mean, most women are ignorant to their own cycles. So it's 28 days, anywhere from 28 days to 32. Every woman has a different length.
Okay. And what day does the period come
whole
out?
month,
Day one.
guys.
So day one is the first day she bleeds.
Okay. Then how long? That lasts for what, 7 days?
Everyone's different, anywhere from 3 to 7 days.
Okay. So you said between day 2 and 12 is when to pick my battles?
Yes. So day 2, you're going to start to see her emerge a little more gregarious. She may be a little more outgoing. So, I mean, as she get closer to day 12, you want to go party with her. You want to take her out, make her feel good. Like, that's the time to wine and dine her.
Okay, cool. We'll put all the dates then and all the fights.
I swear,
and then
I have
after day 12, what am I doing?
Then after day 12, so day 12 is right when she's ovulating. So you're going to have to choose your battle there. But ovulation occurs for most women between day 10 and day 15. There's a small little 5-day window.
Ovulation.
There. That's this is once I figured this out, I was like, why don't men know this? That's when her libido is going to be the highest.
Okay, so we're having sex.
Yes. So if you want to have sex with her.
I'm just writing this down.
Yes.
So have sex with her around that time. If she's willing.
She's going to be more motivated because she has testosterone. She's going to feel more like it.
Okay. Then after she finishes ovulating after day 15.
Yeah. So then there's going to be a crash of hormones. You might see a change in her personality. She might feel a little low.
Go stay in a hotel.
But you could ask,
I'm
like
joking.
if she's having a bummer day, or a low day, ask her, do you know what day of your cycle are you on?
Be really nice.
Be really nice.
Really nice.
And then here's the gold. Here's gold. This is so good. You're going to have to report back to me how this works.
Okay.
Give it to me.
When around day 17 or 18, progesterone's coming in. This is where you got to give her foot rubs. You got to be extra special and cater her like she's the queen that she deserves to be.
Okay. So all my compliments. That's where I
Yes.
pull out the notepad.
Yes. But what you need to know is she's probably going to be like, if you're like, oh, you look so beautiful today, she might at that time be like, no, I feel horrible. I'm bloated. I don't feel beautiful. But
I should disagree. I should say, no, you don't. You look amazing. Okay, cool.
And you do that till she bleeds. And you can take amazing care of her in the week before her period, and you will get kudos like you can't even imagine.
And then start it all over again.
And then start it all over again.
Got you.
Yeah, I mean, just once you understand our patterns. And then it also helps you understand that we're going to be more outgoing in the front half of our cycle. We're going to be more introverted in the back half.
What about men?
You guys, every 15 minutes, you're pretty black and white.
Really?
Yeah, you're pretty straightforward.
So if she was asking you the same question about me, would you say anything about my hormone cycles at all? You just say...
Well, it really depends on the issue at hand. So if it's a mismatch of libido, then the best time to have sex with a woman is during ovulation.
Okay,
because she has the most amount of testosterone.
Day 10 to 15 of her cycle.
Yeah.
It would be really handy, wouldn't it, just to have a little menstrual cycle chart on the wall at home.
They make those.
I know that sounds a bit strange, but just so I know
they make
what's
those
going on inside her body.
The first time I discovered this, I started using an app called the Clue app.
Thank you.
And it shows you in a circle. It kind of shows a little cloud, and then it shows you where PMS clicks in. And it actually has a button that you can share it with people in your life. And I thought, not only does my husband need this, but my staff needs this. They need to understand where I'm going. And what if all the women on my team actually shared it with each other, and we could see where each other was at in the menstrual cycle? We would understand why a woman's moods can be so up and down. It's really, because of these 3 hormones, our moods are much more volatile than yours. You guys are pretty steady Eddie. This is general. I hate to be sexist in this conversation, but this is hormones and the way they work.
It's actually really helpful to know this, because without this insight, it's very easy to fall into the trap of just assuming your partner is moody, or that they have like mood swings, or that they're, people say things like they're too emotional, or they're whatever it might be. But with this, I actually think it creates a ton of empathy.
Yeah,
that's certainly the reaction that I get from hearing that there's significant hormone fluctuations in my partner, and they happen at certain periods. It actually now would change my behavior, the way that I receive certain times where I come home, or I notice that my partner's just different.
Yep.
And it catches me off guard sometimes. We've spoken a lot about this, and we're very open. We're very much the same person in terms of our willingness to talk about everything. And very difficult things as well.
Yeah.
And there will be times where I come home or we go through a patch where just a week, things are
off,
making her upset, which wouldn't normally make her upset. Just tiny things that I'm doing. And I go, what?
That's it.
Yeah.
So see if you can track that to a certain part of her cycle.
Oh, I'm gonna.
So like the week before our period,
I'm downloading the app
we're
now.
irritable. And every time I say that, men go, well, you said it. I didn't say it.
Yeah.
Well, but that's because progesterone, we're meant to be more inner. We're meant to sit on the couch. We're also meant, believe it or not, glucose goes higher the week before our period. So we crave carbs. There's a reason we crave carbs because we need to bring glucose up to be able to make progesterone. So we crave carbs. We're irritable. We don't want a lot of cortisol, so generally we're a little bit slower. We don't want to, we don't have the desire to push through stress and push through exercise. And so we're different that week. So if you come up and you just put your hand on our shoulder and you're like, I love you, you're amazing, I'm here if you need anything. That's all you gotta do. But if you're trying to resolve a big conflict or you're trying to come at us in too aggressive a way, we will shut down the week before our periods.
Relationship status change right there.
Whereas if you have something you want to resolve with us, make sure estrogen's there because estrogen makes us great our verbal skills are incredible when estrogen's around. Ask any menopausal woman, she'll tell you what it's like when she loses estrogen.
And I have to say, this is because women have this incredible power to create life that us men don't have. It's like women are superheroes for being able to carry a baby for significant amounts of time and then give birth to this baby. It's just the most magical thing that I can think of in existence. And women have that superpower. And with that comes this cycle.
I like he's calling it a superpower.
It's a wonderful thing.
It's beautiful. And in the book, I called it the manifestation phase, ovulation, because when all of those hormones come in, we can manifest anything we want. But it's not just a baby. This is a great time. Ovulation is an amazing time to start a new business project.
Interesting.
It's a great time, like as an author, like I'm going to write during those 5 days because my creativity is going to be at its peak. So we're highly creative. If you want to talk about something about life and how to create something with us, do it during ovulation.
Your husband is behind that wall here in my home. And is he aware of your menstrual cycle?
He is until I started to lose it. I'm 53, so it's starting to go. But yeah, we talk like this all the time.
Guys, and so important.
The way I like to take ownership over my hormonal moods. So I will say to him after a long day of work, I will say, hey, it's been a testosterone driven day for me. I don't feel like I have a lot of estrogen right now. I can't handle a lot of stress. I'm going to need to just take some time to myself.
That's important, ladies.
We literally talk like
communicate.
We
like that. That's so
losing
important.
the menstrual cycle. The first time I started as a young man that hasn't been exposed to that at any point in my in the education system or other, the first time I started to understand what menopause was and premenopause and perimenopause, all these things, was from guests that have come here.
Yeah.
And it was such a big light bulb moment for me, because I have women in my life that are going through that phase of life, and I feel like they are so misunderstood in so many ways.
Thank you.
And I love hearing about it now, because it's going to help me relate to those women in a better way and understand how I can be a partner with them through that phase of life, like certain members of my family that are going through that phase of life. What do we need to know as men, but also as women, about menopause, perimenopause, and all those things?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I think that we're the most misunderstood age group of women, and the 45 to 55-year-old in that decade is the most common time for women to commit suicide.
Really?
Oh.
This is why my next book I'm writing right now is on the mental health of menopausal women, because we're struggling.
Whoa.
And so the first thing you have to know is that after 40,
correctly, the age 45 to 55 is the highest time when women commit suicide. Why Why was that? I missed the part. I'm sorry. I backed it up just a
Man
tad.
that hasn't been exposed to that at any point in my sort of, in the education system or other.
And scary.
The first time I started to understand what menopause was and premenopause and perimenopause, all these things, was from guests that have come here.
Yeah.
And it was such a big light bulb moment for me, because I have women in my life that are going through that phase of life. And I feel like they are so misunderstood in so many ways.
Thank you.
And I love hearing about it now, because it's going to help me relate to those women in a better way and understand how I can be a partner with them through that phase of life. Like, certain members of my family that are going through that phase of life. What do we need to know as men, but also as women, about menopause, perimenopause, and all those things?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking. I think that we're the most misunderstood age group of women. And the 45 to 55-year-old in that decade is the most common time for women to commit suicide.
Really?
Yeah. This is why my next book I'm writing right now is on the mental health of menopausal women, because we're struggling. And so the first thing you have to know is that after 40, our sex hormones start to decline. So estrogen goes up and down. So one day you're going to experience, if you live with a 43-year-old woman, you're going to experience she's great. Next day you're going to be like, who are you? That's because her estrogen is on a roller coaster ride. So that's the first thing to know. Second thing is that progesterone is plummeting after 40. They actually say now at 35, progesterone is starting to go down. So as progesterone goes down, we are less stress resilient. So little things are going to irritate us like they've never irritated us before.
Can't wait for that.
And you might be the recipient of that. So if you find we're very triggerable, it's because we're losing progesterone. So we just need to have more breaks. We need more nurturing, like I explained in the menstrual cycle. We need to have more love brought our way because we just can't handle stress the same way. And then as ultimately estrogen finally goes into a place where she's non-existent once a woman doesn't have her cycle, we can't hold on to information the same way we used to be able to. We forget things, and it's really frustrating to us. And so when people around us, like I went through this with my team, when I was trying to get my menopausal hormones in check, they would say, well, you already told us that. Yes, you reminded us of that. And I started finding I was repeating myself. And then I realized, I'm at a new level of low of estrogen. And then I worked, working with some bioidenticals, working with some lifestyle to bring my estrogen up. But from 40 till about 55, that is about a 10 to 15 year period where the woman's brain has to recalibrate to these loss of hormones. And so our moods are all over the place during that time. So understanding where we're at, having more compassion for us, not taking us on, and just helping us understand ourselves, which is largely what I'm trying to do through my books, will be so helpful. But we don't even understand our own selves. Menopausal moods are treacherous. It's an extreme sport. It literally is an extreme sport. It's brutal.
What about after 45? She said 40 to 45.
Yeah, so once we actually go a whole year without a period, we actually do better. So the brain is used to the less hormones. So when we get on the other side postmenopausal,
your body's so smart.
We actually are great. Women that once they go to that side of the hormonal process tend to actually be, we have so much wisdom, I'd like to think. We actually tend to be the opposite of everything I just said. We tend to be more stress. We can handle stress better. We tend to be more gregarious. Our libido goes back up. As our brain starts to recalibrate, we become a better version of ourselves.
And it's that first phase, that 40 to 45 phase. What's that phase called? Is that
That's perimenopause.
Perimenopause.
Yeah.
And then menopause is beyond 45.
Yeah, the average age for menopause right now is about 52, although a lot of women are going in around 45, sometimes earlier.
Ooh,
okay.
No.
But I think that if there was one thing I could help the world understand, is that we're trying to understand ourselves during that time. So be patient with us, because we may react much different than you've ever seen us react before. So we have to get to know ourselves from a new lens. That's the gift that menopause actually gives us. And if you allow us to do that, make it through to the postmenopausal wise, wonderful woman on the other side of that and into perimenopause is really a treacherous.
It's so interesting. It's so I find it staggering that no one told me this at any point in my life. Because irrespective of whether you are a woman or not, and you're going to go through that, you're going to your relationships with women are going to be integral to your life, unavoidably. Your mother, your grandmother, your partner. So having the insight gives me the empathy.
I love it.
You know, and that's why I'm so fortunate from having this conversation. It was Gabby Logan who came on this podcast, Davina McCall, who wrote a book about menopause in the end, and you that have really helped to open my eyes about that. And it's interesting. I don't know what it is. I think growing up, like, men just don't want to talk about periods and menstrual cycles and all of these kinds of things. They're almost taboo in a weird way.
I call it, in the new book I'm writing, I'm calling it the cultural hush.
Yeah.
I think we have a cultural hush around the menstrual cycle, around menopause. I can't tell you the number of men since Fast Like a Girl that has come out that read that book and they go to the chapter on women and hormones. And then they come and find me and say, I finally understand my wife.
Yeah.
I finally understand my daughter. Well, why aren't we talking about that? And then how many women we don't talk about, like, the fact that I'm suffering because I don't have as much estrogen. We don't have a culture or a society that allows us to talk like that. And that's what I think is shifting right now. So many menopause books are coming out.
It's gonna be like the new dating realm. It is gonna be, you know, before it was like, you know, what do you do for work? What do you? It's like, well, let me see if your menstrual cycle sets tone to my work cycle. What's your zodiac sign? Oh yeah, and by the way, what's your menstrual cycle? Oh my. I mean,
people, you know, Oprah's starting to do a whole thing on menopause. Like, the conversation's opening up, but it's going to take bravery from women to step very, very capable woman who has a beautiful family and a great business. It's really hard for me to say, I can't do one more Zoom call. My brain can't do it. That feels like failure. And then we have the other side of this, which is we have the men that are like, why are you being a bitch today? It's like, because I don't have the hormone to stop me from being a bitch today. So those kind of conversations are not happening. But if we did it with more empathy, if we could express ourselves like, hey, I need a break right now. It's just a lot on my hormones. Give me 30 minutes, give me an hour. I can come back and be a better version. I just need to take care of myself now.
Someone's going to be listening to this and they're going to think, it's not a problem. You can just go get the hormones. You can just go get some HRT. It's called HRT, right?
HRT, yeah.
You can go get some HRT, throw that at the problem, then you'll have your hormones back.
Yeah. So this is the big thing, is that
hormone
just because you take a hormone doesn't mean your cells are going to use it. So if you take it, let's use thyroid. It's a perfect example because so many women specifically take thyroid medication and they don't see any change in their thyroid symptoms. It's called an exogenous hormone. You bring it into your body.
I know
the body registers that it's there. The gut and the liver have to still break that hormone down into a usable form. So if your gut is off or your liver is overloaded, you're not going to break that hormone down.
Right.
Once that hormone's broken down, the cell has to be able to receive it. If that cell is inflamed with a lot of toxic oils and endocrine disruptors, there's no way to get the hormone into the cell. So there are three very pivotal pieces. There has to be production of the hormone, there has to be breaking down of the hormone, and there has to be receiving of the hormone. So when you take HRT, you're only handling one of those things. And lifestyle. This is why I'm so passionate about lifestyle. Lifestyle can handle the other two. They can take care of the gut and the liver. They can open up the cells so it can receive HRT. I wrote a book called The Menopause Reset, and it'll come out, and we're reissuing it in June.
Okay, listen what she said. She said lifestyle can fix it, right? So even if you're on hormone replacement therapy, HRT, even if you're going in for getting more testosterone or getting more estrogen or getting more whatever it is that you're getting more of to help balance you back out, she's saying lifestyle change is the most important, because if you don't fix what's going in your mouth, the way that you're eating, how often you're eating, and all of the fatty cells around the cells where your hormone replacement therapy that you're ingesting, whether it's progesterone or estrogen or testosterone or any one of those things, or whatever you're taking for your thyroid that you're trying to get into the cell, it's not even going to make it into the cell because you have so many fatty blockers around it because of what you're putting in your mouth. So you have to change your lifestyle, change your pattern, because not even those will work. So that's what this whole topic is about, is changing that lifestyle, and that's how it's going to change your life. Because not only is it going to start balancing all that stuff out on its own, but it is going to use those things that you're already taking, that you're paying all that money for already, to have an effect. And how come it's not having an effect is because you're putting too many obstacles around it for it to even be ingested the way that you need it to actually affect your body and your mental and your hormones the way that you need it to. So it all comes back down to lifestyle with what you're putting in your mouth, the food you're putting in your mouth.
And one of the things in there is I mapped out 5 lifestyle changes that women should do after 40.
5 lifestyle changes.
And in that book, 40. I lived that. I whole 40s. I didn't start doing bioidenticals till like 52. But I had my lifestyle dialed in first. And now bioidenticals are working well.
5
people
lifestyle
sat there going,
changes.
5 lifestyle changes?
Mm-hmm.
They want to know what they are.
They're gonna buy the book as well, aren't we? We're gonna buy the book and we're gonna find out right now.
Yes. Okay. Well, what do you think the first one is?
I'm gonna grab
fasting.
Yes. There you go. The first one's fasting.
Fasting.
So it actually, Fast Like a Girl came after the menopause reset, because all the women asked me, well, what if I have what if I'm in my 30s? What if I'm in my 20s? How should I fast? So that's, that was sort of the birth of that book. So fasting. Second one is you have to learn to cycle your food. So ketogenic diet works really well at certain times.
Cycle your food.
Cycle your food styles.
What does that mean?
So
God.
if in the front half, if you have a menstrual cycle, in the front half when estrogen's coming in, go keto. Keep carbs low, keep glucose low, you're great. Back half of your cycle, when progesterone's coming in, raise glucose. So don't go keto, but do nature's carbs. Do more fruits, do more squashes, potatoes. That's going to help with building progesterone. So the perimenopausal woman has to learn that there's times to bring carbs down and there's times to bring carbs up. And that's what I explain in that. I called it keto variations in that book. So that's step 2. Step 3, microbiome. You got to pay attention to your microbiome. Too many women have been on birth control for decades. They go screaming into their perimenopausal years and their microbiome is completely off. We have a whole set of bacteria in our gut called the estrobolome, which is the bacteria that break estrogen down. So you need to be eating more leafy green vegetables, more nuts and seeds, olives, chocolate even is great for the microbiome. So I list all those foods out there. And then number 5, go ahead.
And that's for stage 2 of the 3 steps to these hormone replacement therapies actually working, which is being able to metabolize the hormone, break it down.
Yes, you got it.
Okay. Step 4.
You got it. You're going to be a hormone expert after this.
Well, not just a pretty face.
Yeah. So then the 4th one is watch your toxic load. Okay. So we talked about that. And then step 5 is my favorite. And it's stop being a rushing woman. Yeah. I know, as I tell you, from a rushing lifestyle. We need more, as we go through perimenopause, we need more downtime. You got to schedule more downtime. You need to let that nervous system come down. You can't go through your perimenopausal years and thrive if you are go, go, go all the time. It will catch up with you. And so you've got to bring in more mindfulness, more meditation, more yoga, more vacations, more no's. That's got to be a part of your repertoire. You might have gotten away with it at 35, but you won't get away with it at 45.
I was thinking then, as you're speaking, I was thinking about how I kind of summarize all of these points into how we should be living our lives as men and women. Because obviously we've got dragged into a consumerist, workaholic, sugar overloaded, toxin ridden life because of because we've been unconscious. So that's the way that corporations and media narrative and social.
Sorry. I missed the 5 things.
So if your gut is off or your liver is,
I know this
a very capable woman who has a beautiful family and a great business. It's really hard for me to say, I can't do one more Zoom call.
Okay. So we were past
your body.
that. Hold on.
The body registers that it's there. The gut and the liver handle the other two. They can take care of the gut and the liver. They can open up the cell so it can receive HRT. I wrote a book called The Menopause Reset, and it'll come out, and we're reissuing it in June. And one of the things in there is I mapped out 5 lifestyle changes that women should do after 40. And in that book, I lived that. I did that through my whole 40s. I didn't start doing bioidenticals till like 52. But I had my lifestyle dialed in first. And now bioidenticals are working well.
People are sat there going, 5 lifestyle changes?
5 lifestyle changes.
They want to know what they are.
They're gonna buy the book as well, aren't we? We're gonna buy the book and we're gonna find out right now.
Yes. Okay. Well, what do you think the first one is?
Fasting.
Yes. There you go. The first one's fasting. And actually Fast Like a Girl came after the menopause reset because all the women asked me, well, what if I have what if I'm in my 30s? What if I'm in my 20s? How should I fast? So that's, that was sort of the birth of that book. So fasting. Second one is you have to learn to cycle your food. So ketogenic diet works really well at certain times.
Cycle your food.
Cycle your food styles.
What does that mean?
So if in the front half, if you have a menstrual cycle, in the front half when estrogen's coming in, go keto. Keep carbs low, keep glucose low, you're great. Back half of your cycle, when progesterone's coming in, raise glucose. So don't go keto, but do nature's carbs. Do more fruits, do more squashes, potatoes. That's gonna help with building progesterone. So the perimenopausal woman has to learn that there's times to bring carbs down and there's times to bring carbs up. And that's what I explain in that. I called it keto variations.
Because the body does that naturally.
So that's step 2.
Like if you pay attention.
Step 3, microbiome. You got to pay attention to your microbiome. Too many women have been on birth control for decades. They go screaming into their perimenopausal years and their microbiome is completely off.
Gut health.
We have a whole set of bacteria in our gut called the estrobolome, which is the bacteria that break estrogen down. So you need to be eating more leafy green vegetables, more nuts and seeds, olives, chocolate even is great for the microbiome. So I list all those foods out in there. And then go ahead.
And that's for stage 2 of the 3 steps to these hormone replacement therapies actually working, which is being able to metabolize the hormone, break it down.
Yes, you got it.
Okay. Step 4.
You got it. You're going to be a hormone expert after this.
Well, just a pretty face.
Yeah. So then the 4th one is watch your toxic load. Okay. So we talked about that. And then step 5 is my favorite. And it's stop being a rushing woman. Yeah, I know. As I tell you, from a rushing lifestyle.
Slow down.
We need more, as we go through perimenopause, we need more downtime. You got to schedule more downtime. You need to let that nervous system come down. You can't go through your perimenopausal years and thrive if you are go, go, go all the time. It will catch up with you. And so you've got to bring in more mindfulness, more meditation, more yoga, more vacations, more no's. That's got to be a part of your repertoire. You might have gotten away with it at 35, but you won't get away with it at 45.
Okay.
I was thinking then as you're speaking, I was thinking about how I kind of summarize all of these points into how we should be living our lives as men and women. Because obviously we've got dragged into a consumerist, workaholic, sugar overloaded, toxin ridden life because we've been unconscious.
Work, you got
that's the way that
you got dinner, you got
corporations and media narrative and social media algorithms have taken us. So I was thinking if we could just pause for a second and we could rewrite the blueprint of what it is to be a human and how to live. Let's try and rewrite that. So how would I work as a man and a woman? What would be the differences? How many days a week? What if you were in charge now of rewriting that, which you might be one day?
I'd like to be.
You'd like to be? Okay, so you're taking on the responsibility. So how would men and women work?
And you mean from a business
Yeah,
place?
like a professional standpoint.
Okay, well, let's start with a man.
Yeah.
So, well, both men and women, we have two nervous systems. One that speeds us up, one that slows us down. Yeah. So you could be in a speed up mode most of the time. I would say you just need to make sure, I mean, it really, actually, I just thought about this right now. The patriarchal work week works really well for men. Monday through Friday, work your fanny off. Saturday and Sunday, take it off. Now you're moving in and out of your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, and you're giving both of them a break. You are not meant to be working 24/7, 7 days a week. Like you're not meant to be working all the time and never taking a break.
What would you make the work hours for a man?
Well, I'm a big fan of working in the daylight and resting. We're supposed to rest when it's dark.
Okay.
So winter you would work less, summer you would work more.
Okay.
We do the opposite, right? We take more vacation in the summer.
Women?
Okay.
So women, we would design our whole work week around our menstrual cycle. So we could go full tilt all the way till day 19, day 20, and then we would take a week off and we would bow out. So instead of doing it in a weekly amount like you guys would be doing, we'd be doing it in a monthly amount.
And how long would you bow out for?
Well, ideally, it depends on each woman's going to be a little different, but I would say anywhere from, I want to say 7 days if it worked for a schedule until you bleed. So day 20 till, if day 21 till day 28, you would do it for a week.
Crazy.
Bowing out might also look like, I just am not going to take on the high load that I normally do the rest of the month. Maybe I'll cut it in half.
Mm-hmm. Maybe work from home or
maybe I work from home. Maybe I can't do my workload and my extreme exercise and go socialize with my friends during that week. I just need to start to slow everything down. So that's what I want to say about bowing out, is that it's just you're putting yourself first and you're slowing everything down.
Now eating. Men and women eating.
Yeah. So men, I think as far as food, I agree with just keeping blood sugar stable is great. I think you guys really work well off of a meat-based and animal diet. I don't think you have more testosterone, which means you have more muscle. The way that we build muscle and keep muscle strong is through amino acids, and you get that in meat. So for men, I feel like that primal diet, the paleo diet, was meat and vegetables and fruit is amazing. I think that's perfect. I don't think refined flours and sugars that we are exposed to, I think that in an overabundance, they'll hurt men too. And we're seeing that with metabolic syndrome. Women, we do well with meats. I think we need less of it because we have less testosterone. So we may need less of it, although it is important. Protein is important, especially as we age. So I don't want to lose sight on that. But we also need to bring glucose up. So we need more fruits. We're going to need more squashes. We're going to need more potatoes. And that's, all built around your menstrual cycle.
And so eating times?
I'm not a fan of eating when it's dark out, because when melatonin goes up, you become more insulin resistant.
Ooh.
So I'm a fan of.
Which means what?
It means your body.
Hold on, I got to write that down. So at nighttime when you eat, your body naturally, kind of like your circadian rhythm, your body naturally sees, hey, it's nighttime. Now that signals to me it's time for sleep. And I really know this because we started taking care, I got my daughter a little baby turtle. And the turtles are so driven off of the circadian rhythm. It made me even think more about my own circadian rhythm, which is what she's talking about, is your body. It's so important. Like for the baby turtle that we have, the light that's on, the light that signals to her, okay, it's my wake time. I'm going to be most active and eating during this time. And then the light goes off. And then, so you've got to keep them on this good circadian rhythm through the light. And that's how we are too, with the light outside. So what she's saying is that when our body sees that it's dark out, it immediately goes into a space of releasing like the melatonin to start to calm our bodies down. And also at that time, our insulin levels will go up. So we're more insulin sensitive. So if we're going to start eating foods in the dark, like when it's nighttime, then our bodies are more susceptible to our insulin spikes, and therefore storing that extra fat and any carbs that we eat, turning it to sugar, which stores to fat. So that is so powerful. Wow. Okay, let me let her finish.
You won't process the glucose from that meal as efficiently when it's dark out.
It won't take it away and store it where it needs to be stored as energy.
Exactly.
It will store as
Okay,
fat
my
or
bad.
something?
Yeah, it's going to store it as fat.
Okay, let me back up.
Eating.
Yeah. So men, I think as far as food, I agree with just keeping blood sugar stable is great. I think you guys really work well off of a meat-based and animal diet. I don't think you have more testosterone, which means you have more muscle. The way that we build muscle and keep muscle strong is through amino acids, and you get that in meat. So for men, I feel like that primal diet, the paleo diet, was meat and vegetables and fruit, is amazing. I think that's perfect. I don't think refined flours and sugars that we are exposed to, I think that in an overabundance, they'll hurt men too. And we're seeing that with metabolic syndrome. Women,
interesting.
We do well with meats. I think we need less of it because we have less testosterone. So we may need less of it, although it is important. Protein is important, especially as we age. So I don't want to lose sight on that. But we also need to bring glucose up. So we need more fruits. We're going to need more squashes. We're going to need more potatoes. And that's, all built around your menstrual
squash.
cycle.
And eating times.
I'm not a fan of eating when it's dark out, because when melatonin goes up, you become more insulin resistant. So I'm a fan of.
Which means what?
It means your body won't process the glucose from that meal as efficiently when it's dark out.
It won't take it away and store it.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
It will store it as fat or something?
It's going to store it as fat. If insulin can't drive it into the cell for energy, it'll store it as fat. So the meal you eat at 9:30 is going to be stored more as fat than if you have that same meal at 5:30.
Woo!
I know.
Oh my gosh, this makes so much sense, you guys. Since I started my whole fasting journey, intermittent fasting, into the fasting journey, and changing my life dramatically, this is why I'm so big on this topic and so big about trying to spread this knowledge to the world. Is this right here makes so much sense, because it's all about your window, right? Intermittent fasting is all about the window that you eat in. So it's a window, I mean 8 hours. You have an 8-hour window that you can eat from the beginning of your very first bite of the day to your last meal. Let that be 8 hours in between. So I like to stay I'll do an 8, a 6, a 4, a 2, 8, 6, 4, 2, or I'll just do 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day, no meals a day, or 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, no meals a day. I kind of like interchange with that. But I noticed when I tried to switch around, right, I was like, okay, well, let me try it this week, because normally I don't eat breakfast, lunch. I'll eat like a late lunch and then a later dinner. So I noticed when I started doing that, like pushing my time frame back, and then when I put my time frame in the daylight hours, where I'm not eating at night, not eating later at night. And by later, I mean like my last meal being at 7:30, 8 o'clock, maybe 9. I noticed when I switched it to more daylight hours, like, okay, I'm going to eat breakfast and like a bigger late lunch, like a late breakfast, late lunch, early dinner type thing, eating it in the window of all daylight hours. I noticed I was losing extra weight and gaining extra energy and focus, and all of these like the healing benefits that I was getting. I noticed like my cell regeneration was different. It was very strange. And all I was doing was eating in daylight hours. I wasn't eating my meals at nighttime. So this is the first time I've heard scientific backing on that, is this is why you should eat. And she's a lot like Dr. Berg. I love him for always breaking things down and making it simple for us normal people to understand, is that when your body's circadian rhythm knows, hey, it's dark outside, I'm ready to release that serotonin or release that melatonin to help you get ready to go to sleep. Now your insulin's going to go up and you're a little bit more resistant, and everything you eat in the dark hours is going to be stored more as fat, as opposed to if you're eating in the lighttime hours, because your body hasn't released that. I guess if you like walked around with like a light in your face all the time and maybe your body didn't realize it's dark outside. If you just don't go outside and let your body know that it's nighttime, then maybe you could get away with it. I don't know if it has some type of, correlation without visually seeing it with your eyes, if it just knows of the darkness. But if you don't see the darkness, I wonder if that's a little loophole in the plan. If you don't see that it's dark out, and maybe your body won't release that serotonin. Like if you don't go outside and you don't know it's dark and you just keep the lights on. I remember when we went out of town and I forgot to set the timer on our turtle's light that keeps her circadian rhythm in check. I left the freaking light on. So when we got back and I started trying to get her back in her routine, she was just like so frazzled because literally it was like Vegas for her, like pumping in all the light and the noise, like keeping that circadian rhythm. She was like all out of sorts. And I just remember, oh, it's because that light stayed on. It's almost like being in Alaska or other countries where they get like 6 months or 3 months or something like that of daylight time. So the body is hard to shut down. You have to like literally put, all these light blockers around your house to block the light out so you can actually get some sleep. So this is very interesting information. So if you really want to make a huge change and a huge difference, you have to eat during the time where your hours are light. And I know that's probably not as feasible, but if you are trying to start a whole new rhythm for your body and you just want to do everything that you can, then maybe you shift it for a certain amount of time, and then you can get into that maintain area rather than feeling like this is something you have to do for your entire life. Just getting it to a space where you can drop that weight and then getting into area where you can just maintain that with a normal schedule for your family. But I know so often my husband and I will even eat at different times. We'll sit down as a family to eat, even if we've already eaten our meal. If we're staying strict on our schedule, we try and always have it together. But on times we're tightening up, like going on vacation, or we know we got a big thing coming up that it's gonna, be food abound, then we will tighten things up and try and keep in a short window for eating. So sometimes that means you're not eating with the family, but you're sitting down and still enjoying like a cup of tea, or having your apple cider vinegar cocktail, as I like to call it, which is the apple cider vinegar with a little lemon and in your water, and just sitting down and still enjoying that time without having the meal. So you can still make it work into your lifestyle. It's all about how you approach it. That's for sure. Okay, here's the rest.
Aren't doing themselves any favors.
No.
Aww.
So we go back to our primal friends, right? Like, let's go back and use that if people get lost theories. So they didn't have electricity. They sat around the fire. So most likely they ate during light hours.
Nice, Bo.
And then the women, what did the women do? If we go back and look at cultures around our period, we were actually, that's the whole red tent ideas. We were sequestered off into another part of the tribe. We didn't have to do as many chores. We went more into an introverted place. If you go back and you study what we did in those days, it was very much along those lines. And we're just not doing that now.
What about supplements? What supplements would you have men and women consuming?
This is great for everyone, not just for women.
The most important supplement she could ever take is magnesium. Magnesium makes every single hormone in your body. For men, I would say the most important supplement, there's a lot of them, but for hormones is zinc, because zinc makes testosterone. Ooh, outside of that, for both men and women, the other supplement and the other measurement that we all need to be looking at are vitamin D levels.
Yeah, I've learned this from guests on this podcast. I've started taking vitamin D supplements.
Yeah.
If your vitamin D is under 30, you are in a critically depressed immune state.
Most people have a vitamin
so you got to get it definitely over 30. For hormonal health, we need to see it more up in about 60, 70 to have your hormones be working at their best. So this goes back to like the HRT thing. If we're taking HRT, but our vitamin D is 20, that HRT isn't going to be as effective as compared to the woman who has an HRT of like 55 or 60, or a vitamin D of 55 or 60. That HRT will work better.
Interesting. And vitamin D comes from sunlight,
vitamin,
doesn't it?
sunlight and sardines.
Sardines.
The food sources are really bad. This is why everybody's low in it.
Nah.
The food sources it's sardines, it's like really fatty fishes, and sunlight.
I cannot.
We spend most of our time indoors.
That's right.
We can't get it from this kind of light, right?
No. And you have to be outside with your skin exposed at the high point of the day, of the sun, like 12, 1 o'clock, to get the most vitamin D. And if you're in a city where there's more air pollution, study has shown that you're not going to, the rays that come in that that will hit your skin and turn it into vitamin D are less because air pollution blocks it. Wow. Which is why so many people are low in vitamin D, which is why taking vitamin D is a smart thing.
Is that why people are doing these like infrared saunas and stuff now? Does that produce vitamin D or is that something else?
It's more detox.
Oh, detox.
It's pushing infrared sauna. What it does is it simulates a fever. So it burns things out from the inside of the cell which is why it's a really good detoxer.
There was a few things you said when I was watching some of your YouTube videos that I wrote down that I found really compelling. One of them was you said about the importance of opening up our detox pathways. And you've just mentioned detoxing there. What do you mean by opening up our detox pathways?
Yeah. So if you look at our lymph system, the lymph is like, people know lymph nodes because when you get sick, you can feel them.
Mumps, you get.
Yeah. So the lymph is always carrying toxins out of organs.
Right here.
So the liver, the gut has lymph nodes in there that are going to pull all the toxins that are in there and move them out of you. So we need to keep these lymph pathways open. So the gut's a great one. You should be having a bowel movement every single day. If you're not having a bowel movement every single day, then what the body's trying to get rid of is staying inside of you, and it gets congested. A thing we teach women about the armpit, and actually would work for men too, is that you should have a pit, not a puff.
What does that mean?
If it's a puff, like look in the mirror, and if your armpit is a puff, then that's stagnant lymph. It means that you're not pulling the toxins for women that are coming out of her breasts are not getting out. Toxins that are coming out from the head down into the thoracic area is not getting out because it's congested.
So if your underarm is puffy and not like a pit, then you might be storing some of those toxins.
That's right.
And
they're not moving. They're not mobilizing.
Why aren't they?
Interesting. So if you go right now and you look into the mirror and you have a poofy underarm, meaning when you lift it up, it doesn't pit inward, it's coming outward. That means that your detox pathway is blocked, which means your body is not getting rid of all the toxins in it that are running through your lymph. Your lymph system is kind of like the garbage trucks, it's sanitation system in your area. Oh no, I was blocked that whole time. Okay, can you hear me now? It says it was good on my end. Oh no. Oh gosh, you guys, I just said all that without just my mouth moving. Okay. Welcome to the live show where anything can happen. Well, at least I didn't shut down this time. So, take 3. Okay. If you can walk into the bathroom and you can look into your armpit and you can see that your armpit is not a pit, it's a poof. You don't want an arm poof, you want the pit. If there is a poof, if it's protruding outward, that means you have the detox pathway. You have your detox pathway blocked and you need to do something to unblock it. So the thing to get it unblocked and get all those toxins flushed out from all the lymph nodes, y'all saw me making this movement before, is your lymph nodes are here, they're in your neck, they're in your breast, they're all the way out your body. And those lymph nodes are like the garbage men. They take all the garbage out of your body and they take it to where it's got to go, but it needs to get out. And the only way for it to go out, it's kind of like a water slide. If you put your bare body on a water slide, no clothes, you put that bare body on a water slide and there's no water, what's going to happen? You're going to get stuck. That's what I tell my kids. The way to get the poo to come out is you've got to give it the water for the water slide. You've got to let it get, that's the only way to flush your urine out, all the toxins that are in your bloodstream. That's the only way to get the poop to come down the chute, is you've got to put the water in your body. That's the quickest way to detox. You start drinking, don't put ice in your water. Just go up, get the water, like wherever you get your fresh water source, and drink it, because it's easier to drink down more cups at a time than it is with ice, because it's too cold to take that in. Just start drinking some water up and you're going to see a huge change. You're going to see your bowel movements getting more regular. You're going to see that poofy part of your armpit is now a pit, because that's going to tell you, that's your telltale sign, is go look at your armpit. Go look at your armpit. If that is poofed out, I mean, that's not your only tell sign. Maybe your armpit's not poofed out and you still have a detox, your detox pathway is still blocked. You'll know whether or not, if you're having a regular bowel movement, if you're having at least one bowel movement a day, then you're pretty good. But if you're not, and also your armpit is blocked, you're blocked. Your armpit is poofy. You're holding on to those toxins. They're making it down. They're flushing it out, but it's getting trapped. It's getting stuck, and you're not giving it any aid to get out. And all that is water, and tightening up that schedule. You tighten up that food schedule where you're intermittent fasting, only eating for like 8 hours. Maybe your window is 10 hours. Not saying you're eating the whole time. I'm saying from the time you put your first meal to the last meal, you're putting in that 8 or 10 hour window, and then you're drinking lots of water. Put it on a schedule. If you need to set a timer on your phone, set a timer on your phone. Time to drink your water, time to drink your 8 ounces if you have to do that every 30 minutes. Okay, and a little 8-ounce glass. You can drink that in no time. Okay, time, and it's your challenge, right? That's your challenge with yourself. So you can change your bowel movements, so you can change your gut, so you can change your detoxification in your body, so you can change your hair, your nails, your skin. Literally every part of your being is your water intake. Water. I'm always water. Y'all know. If you've been watching my channel, you know water is where it's at. And you have to, even if you have to set that timer and that reminder for yourself, okay, it's your 8 ounces. Maybe you have a little bottle on your desk or wherever you are. Okay, I see this now. I got to do my 8 ounces every 30 minutes. And before you know it, your whole demeanor, your whole being is changed, all because you made a dedication to putting more water into your body. That's one simple step, just one simple step. But what she's saying is a good indication that you are having your detox pathway blocked is if your armpit is protruding and it's puffy and not pitted, like a pit. Armpit means it should be a pit. So if it's not, start on that regimen of putting that water in to your body. Like I said, setting a timer. What's the timer going off for? Maybe you're inspiring someone else. Why do you keep getting a timer going off every 30 minutes? Oh, I'm trying to drink more water so I can enhance and level up my healthy lifestyle. That's simple. Oh, really? That simple? So then you can inspire other people around you. Let them hear that alarm. Let the movement be moved. Let the needle move in a better way, instead of our country being so driven by our numbers of obesity. Let it be driven by how quickly we got our act back together, because we're strong like that, and we're a strong nation. So that's what I'm on about. That's what I'm on here. Okay, let's continue.
Pathways?
Yeah, the pathway's blocked. So
with what?
Well, there's the question. Yeah. I feel like people are going to leave this podcast to be so depressed because there's so many pieces of this, but
okay, let me back it up a little bit. I'm sorry.
Then what the body's trying to get rid of is staying inside of you, and it gets congested. A thing we teach women about the armpit, and actually would work for men too, is that you should have a pit, not a puff.
There we go.
What does that mean?
If it's a puff, like look in the mirror, and if your armpit is a puff, then that's stagnant lymph. It means that you're not pulling the toxins for women that are coming out of her breasts are not getting out. Toxins that are coming out from the head down into the thoracic area is not getting out because it's congested.
So if your underarm is puffy and not like a pit, then you might be storing some of those toxins.
That's right.
And
they're not moving. They're not mobilizing.
Why aren't they? Am I blocking my pathways?
Yeah, the pathway's blocked. So
with what?
Well, there's the question. Yeah. I feel like people are going to leave this podcast to be so depressed because there's so many pieces of this, but deodorant clogs that up. And so it doesn't mobilize all of the toxins out. This was a big thing with breast cancer, is a lot of women using toxic deodorants. They weren't getting the toxins out of the breast, and it was clogging in the armpit because of the toxins from the deodorant.
That explains why we sweat in that area, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a pathway.
Why do we even have hair in that area?
I don't know. You tell me.
It's a detox. It's for detoxing. It's to help get those toxins out.
Oh, so the molecules go down the hair.
Yeah. Yeah. And what do women do?
Shave it off.
That's right.
So you're saying.
I shave. I'm just because I can't walk. It's just not in my nature. But you know what I do is I have a loofah in my shower, and I just loofah under my arms whenever I shower to open up those pathways.
What's a loofah?
It's like a little organic sponge.
Okay, it scrubs it.
Yeah, scrubs it.
You know what's interesting too, what she's talking about with the armpits. You know, our bodies are made. There is a reason that we're made with hair in certain particular areas, is to detoxify those areas, to keep it clean. It's almost like it's natural way of cleansing itself, and we remove those things, and you know, you're susceptible to more infections and things like that. And what she's saying, since we keep smearing this cakey substance underneath, you're blocking all those pores, and therefore all the toxins that you have coming out can't get out because you've blocked them. So they're staying inward, and that might be one of the reasons you're causing that swelling. So it could be as easy as taking a loofah, like she's saying, as like one of those like gritty, scrubby things. If you go into any like any aisle that's got the beauty care, like shampoos, conditioners, and stuff like that, soaps and razors, you're going to see where it says a loofah. It's like a really hard, gritty type of material, and it's for the shower, and it takes off dead skin cells off your body so you can get a nice soft glow again and get all the dead skin cells off. It doesn't feel the greatest, but it gets all of that stuff off. And then what she's saying is taking it under your armpit and getting all of the detox out because men can get it too. How much deodorant do you guys cake on? Because you sweat in the day and you guys don't shave your armpit. So the sweat kind of lingers in that armpit hair. So getting under there and scrubbing all of that out really well with a loofah, not just some soap, gets it all out so you can have your open pathways, especially in the shower. If you do take a hot shower and you can sweat it out get it all out in the shower, let it drain out, is also going to help you to not store all of those toxins, because those toxins ends up causing all other sorts of problems. Like the people have you ever heard of guys who get breast cancer? A lot of it is related to the amount and the toxicity of the deodorant they're using, because now they're blocking the lymph nodes right here under the armpit, which is directly correlated to the breast area, the chest area in a man. And now they're getting breast cancer in an area where it should be, it's really not, a common place for men to get. So this is really good. This is good information to know, and how simple it is. It's not like you have to go do some big procedure. There is actually, I think, some spas or doctor's offices that do what are the Botox shots and stuff like that. They do them for the armpits because apparently the Botox that they do for the armpits helps to relax that muscle and it doesn't sweat. So it's supposed to stop you from sweating as much. But I don't agree with that because our bodies are meant to sweat there to get rid of the toxins. Like it's for a purpose. So I don't really agree with getting that done under your armpits, but if you do, I mean, that's your prerogative. But I feel like you need to get rid of the toxins in any way that you can. You don't want to keep them lingering around in your body, especially if it's something you can do that's easy and simple like this. Like everything that I'm presenting you guys in these podcasts and for this purpose of this podcast is nothing that you have to go out and buy. I mean, okay, maybe like a loofah or something, but it's not like you need to go and get a prescription or you need to get some expensive shot or go buy these pills or supplement. None of the things that we're going to talk about on this podcast are going to be quick fix Band-Aid type of things that are going to cost you money. These are going to be things that you can do in your life right now, right this second, right this day, and make a big change. You don't even need a loofah. You can just get under there and get a good scrub in under your armpits and make sure you get all of the deodorant out, all of the deodorant out. And a lot of this stuff is based around fasting, food that you put in your mouth. Like what she's saying, eating it during the daylight hours and not in the evening and not in the nighttime hours, like the way that your body works, working with your clock, your circadian rhythm, working with your body and your cycles and all around how you can better your life from the inside out without having to do these quick fixes that they don't even have enough studies on. Like they don't even have enough studies on these shots that people are taking to lose weight. They don't have enough studies on some of these supplements that they're putting out there saying quick weight loss and all of these things. A lot of that is just gimmicky and just a quick roundabout Band-Aid spot that also might cause you more harm. And then you're going to go on all these pills too because you have high blood pressure or you have all of these ailments going on when really you can start. I know I've had my clients literally being on all of these things, diabetic, borderline diabetic, and all the ailments you can think of that would keep them down, showing up, giving me the space to let me do my thing and change their life forever, and to where they're able to walk, do squats again, and their knees haven't been good in decades, getting off almost all medications, living their best life, having their best energy, looking their best, feeling their best, all of the things. There was no shots, there was no pills, there was no like quick thing. It was just, let's try this. And then the 5 days that I asked for them to give me to dedicate turned into a lifestyle of changes, because the proof is in the pudding, and it's so simple and it's so easy to do if you just set your mind to it. It's not easy in terms of, okay, you're used to putting all this food in your mouth whenever you want to. I'm having a snack. I'm going to do this. It's not easy to just change that it does take some mental willpower. But when I'm saying easy, as in you don't have to go and prepare this or take this or do a whole bunch of extra things. It's really just having that control to not do the things that you were doing before. It's about that type of control. That type of thing, as I'm saying, is easy to implement into your life if you just dedicate your time to it. And you'll see the difference, and it will happen so quickly that you won't even believe it. So I have that up on my page too. It's the 15-day kickstart, and that is a slow wean to get you to where you should start being. But that 15 days is a really good reset. You guys really should do it from the jump. I have it posted up. I will repost all the days and all the guidelines for each day. If anyone wants to jump into that, this is a great time to do it before the holidays. If you have holiday parties, or you're going to be eating and indulging in some of those foods and some of that bliss, that's totally fine. If you want to get on this, I promise you, you will be looking different by Christmas. That's for sure. Here, let's go.
We also have pubic hair.
Great way to getting toxins out from the ovaries. The ovaries are the major area and testes. This is where hormones are being produced. And so as they're coming out, they are supposed to influence everything biologically we need them to influence, but then they're also supposed to get out of our system. And so the hair ends up becoming like this way that we can mobilize the toxins out of us.
I never knew or asked why I grow hair under my arms and in the pubic region. No one ever told me about that. I never questioned it.
Who talks about it?
I thought it was slightly inconvenient.
Yes. Well, it is for sure.
But the body doesn't do anything to inconvenience you. It does it to increase your chances of survival, because I'm the byproduct of millions of years of survival of the fittest and evolution that has made me pruned, sculpted to survive. It's funny because we spend so much of our time, and this goes back to the conversation around sugar, and just weight loss and all these things. We live in a world where we think that our body is against us.
Right.
It's fighting us. It's making me go for the sugar drawer. It's stopping me losing weight. It's growing all these pubes.
Right. Inconvenient.
Really, yeah. And then we fight it. So we shave it off, and we, do all these crazy things to fight against our body. But our body is very much, it's actually for us. And many of the things we're choosing to do are against us. We are against ourselves, not our bodies. Our bodies
against ourselves.
cannot put a foot wrong.
You got it. I mean, you got it. This is what I'm trying to bring back, is this respect for what the body's trying to do. Mm-hmm. That's what we're missing. It's all inconvenient. And it's everything from even weight gain. Why is your body gaining weight? Because it's so brilliant that it decided not to put that fat around your organs, it put it around your belly, and now you're looking in the mirror and you're villainizing it, but your body was trying to save your life in that moment. Everything the body is always doing for you, not against you. But we continually discredit what it's trying to do and manipulate it, which is why the best thing I can think of is that we're just in an evolutionary mismatch. We're just the modern world does not line up with the human body's design.
Quick one. As you guys know, we're lucky enough to have Blue Jeans by Verizon as a sponsor of this podcast. And for anyone that doesn't know, Blue Jeans is an online video conferencing tool that allows you to have slick, fast, high quality online meetings without all the glitches you might normally find with online meeting tools. And they have a new feature called Blue Jeans Basic. Blue Jeans Basic is essentially a free version of their top quality video conferencing tool. That means you get an immersive video experience that is super high quality, super easy, and super
different than
basically zero fuss. Apart from all the incredible features like zero time limits on meeting calls, it also comes with high fidelity audio and video, including Dolby Voice, which is incredibly useful. They also have enterprise grade security, so you can collaborate with confidence. It's so smooth that it's quite literally changing the game for myself and my team without compromising on quality. To find out more, all you have to do is search bluejeans.com and let me know how you get on.
My girlfriend came upstairs yesterday when I was having a shower, and she said to me that she tried the Huel protein shake, which lives on my fridge over there. And she said it's amazing. Low calories, you get your 20 odd grams of protein, you get your 26 vitamins and minerals, and it's nutritionally complete. In the protein space, there's lots of things, but it's hard to find something that is nice, especially when consumed just with water, and that is nutritionally complete, and that has about 100 calories in total, while also giving you your 20 grams of protein.
Skip it a little bit. Sorry, guys.
Something really pissed me off this weekend. I was walking through New York City, right? And I saw a poster, and it is for weight loss injections.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
No, but Ozempic is a drug that's really popular right now.
This is important.
There's a couple of drugs right now. There's one of my friends were talking about it, and we were like, there's a diabetes drug, I think. And the headlines have been that so many people are taking this diabetes drug to lose weight that people with diabetes are struggling. There's another one called
that was really sad.
Semaglutide.
Yep.
This is people injecting things in their body to help them lose weight.
Yep.
And the poster, which my friend had sent me, and I'd seen it earlier, and then he'd sent me the poster as well in our group chat, says 1 shot a week, lose weight, and it has the little URL. Someone thankfully had actually ripped the URL off this billboard. What's your take on all this stuff?
Yeah, the new medications that are out there right now are creating a weight loss possibility when we look at the scale and when we look at how people feel when they put on their clothes. But it's at the expense of muscle. They're actually losing more muscle than they are losing fat. So yes, you feel thinner, but it's not because you lost fat. You lost muscle. Muscle is the organ of longevity. If you lose muscle, as you age, you are going to be in a bad situation. I mean, we need muscle to get out of a chair.
Yeah.
You need muscle to perform daily life functions.
Right.
The other thing people don't realize about muscle is in muscle are insulin receptors. So if you lose muscle, you don't have as many insulin receptors. which means you're now putting yourself in a more insulin resistant state, which means you have to stay on the medication forever to be able to stay at the weight you want because you don't have the same insulin sensitivity. So again, it's like the calorie in, calorie out. Short-term result, long-term consequence. It's risky. It's risky. And then, every medication has a side effect. But I'm more concerned about the person who thinks they solved their weight loss issue and all they've done is made it worse down the road.
Ooh.
I've sat here with many a health expert and a fitness expert and nutritional experts, and they all agree with what you just said about muscle. They all said to me, because I asked a question to, I think it was Tim Spector about, might have been Giles Yeo, asked him a question about, does our metabolism fall off a cliff as we age, which is quite a popular thing. And a few of them said the same thing to me. They go, at a certain point further down the line, metabolism does change, but really the thing that changes is muscle mass. And that means that we stop moving as much, which means that we gain weight faster. Yep. So he said the number one thing that you need to do as you age is keep doing resistance training, keep your muscle.
Yep.
And because I was asking him a question about my father, I said, I went down this really steep cliff in Bali a couple of weekends before. And as I was going down those stairs, I was thinking, my dad couldn't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. And at the bottom of those stairs was our activity for the day. We were going white water rafting. Mm-hmm. And as I was walking down those stairs, I was thinking, I want to be my dad's age and be able to go down these stairs.
That's right.
So I can do stuff with my kids.
That's so important.
And getting into a place where I'm immobile at, by 60, that is a choice. Mm-hmm. That is an unavoid. That is for most of us, that is a choice, and it's one that we can avoid if we keep muscle and we'll keep fat. And what you've said there, from what I garnered from it, is I will actually, if I take those chemicals and if I inject them into my body, I'll lose my muscle mass. And if I lose my muscle mass, I will have a higher chance of weight gain and obesity when I'm older.
Because you won't be able to move as much.
And your functionality.
Right. Yeah.
So the perfect example that I always stuck in my head is my dad had a knee surgery and he's 86 years old. Ooh. And I remember trying to help him get around a chair that he was sitting in. And he was starting to lose his upper body strength. And he literally couldn't push himself up and out of the chair to be able to move into a comfortable position. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's where muscle is so important at 86 years old, is just being able to get up and out of a chair after recovering from a surgery.
Right.
But if you think about the functionality of a human as we age, if you want to be able to not do as many activities like you're talking about, just make sure you don't have as much muscle. Like the minute muscle goes away, your functionality goes away. But more importantly, the minute muscle goes away, you're more insulin resistant. Ooh. So you're going to gain weight more down the long haul.
Ooh.
A lot of other people would say, the way to lose weight is just to do lots of cardio, run a lot.
Yeah.
Good idea?
No. So here's another interesting thing. And I'm going to give it through a woman's perspective because let's go back to women over 40. So cortisol goes up with extra cardio. Calorie set point goes, your more calorie output. So remember, that's also happening and you're changing your set point.
So I need more calories. My calorie set point goes up and my cortisol levels go up.
Yep.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is that you actually now are tanking all your other hormones. So let's follow the trail of progesterone. Cortisol goes up because you're doing so much cardio. Mm-hmm. So progesterone goes down. Because cortisol goes up, progesterone goes down. Well, progesterone keeps estrogen in check. So now estrogen can go up. And if you have too much estrogen, eventually what's going to happen is it's going to be stored as fat. Ooh. So that extra hormone so long term, that's not a great plan.
For women?
For women.
For men?
So then the second piece applies to both men and women is if you're doing a lot of cardio, most likely you're breaking down muscle to be able to perform that cardio. And a great example is look at a marathon runner versus a tennis player, or a soccer player. Like even though soccer players are doing a lot of cardio, it's a lot of start, stop, start, stop. But a marathon runner who's done so much cardio is breaking muscle down to be able to do that amount of cardio. So it's okay to do, just not at the expense of muscle. And for women, you can't do it at the expense of progesterone.
You want to keep that muscle. The muscles.
It won't help me to lose weight doing cardio.
No. You know what's going to help you to lose weight is more weightlifting, build more muscle so you have more insulin receptor sites, fast more so you can get rid of all of the glucose that gets stored in muscles, break your fast with protein. And yeah, I mean, that's what we see all the time in both my clinic and my online world, is those three things will get you in the shape that you want. Remember, as you build muscle, you're not going to lose the number on the scale might be that much different. You know, it might not move, but your whole shape is going to change. You're going to look different.
So
you don't have to
is
do an
any
intense muscle
level of cardio good for weight loss? Or would you recommend that just for the broader health benefits?
I think cardio is more of a mental health improvement. You get all those endorphins. It's so good for your mental health. I love to go running. It's my favorite thing. But I do it for my mental health, not to lose weight.
Another thing that I saw online, which was very curious that you said, is you were talking about how to undo the oxidative damage from eating too much sugar.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So think about the cell as an ecosystem.
Right.
And so inside the cell, there has to be a balance of all the right components. So when glucose goes up, which happens when you eat too much sugar, that balance goes off. And one of the byproducts of that is that your body puts off these free radicals. It creates more oxidative damage within the cell. The more of that oxidative damage, the more it's going to destroy mitochondria and the nucleus and all the cellular parts. So what you're doing when you're fasting is you're reestablishing balance into the cell. And you're allowing your body to naturally undo the oxidative damage that happened from poor living.
Got you.
So it's like a reset. It's like a cellular reset.
People's fasting breaks down muscle, that I'll lose muscle if I fast.
Yeah.
True or false?
So it appears to break down muscle. It depends on how long you're in a fast, but it will appear as if your muscle is shrinking because it's getting rid of the stored sugar. But when you now bring in a high protein meal and feed it amino acids, it will grow stronger. You'll see more definition because it broke the sugar down, which you don't want in there.
Right.
So it changes the shape of the muscle.
Makes it more lean, I guess?
It makes it more lean, but if you follow that up with good eating, you're going to make yourself stronger. Now, the person who decides to go into a fast, breaks down muscle, and doesn't follow up with good eating, you're going to end up with less muscle. But if you follow it up with a lot of protein and you build that mTOR back up, now you're actually able to build your muscle even stronger. There's two ways to build muscle. One is through weights, lifting weights, strength training, and the other is through food, protein. So all fasting's doing is leaning it out.
And does fasting have an impact on my sleep?
It can in a couple of ways. Sleep, for starters, if your brain's inflamed, you're not going to sleep. So fasting brings down inflammation. So that would be the first thing.
That's why
the other thing is that a lot of people wake up, especially women, 2, 3 in the morning, and they kind of get the jolt out of bed. And a lot of times that's because you've maybe had dinner at 7 o'clock, glucose is going down. And so the body registers that glucose has gone down. And so it gives you a cortisol spike, and all of a sudden you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning.
Is that why some people wake up at... I've got a friend of mine that's an elderly male, and he always tells me, he goes, I woke up at 3 a.m. last night. And he's constantly saying it. He's like, I woke up in the middle of the night again last night.
Yep.
And I've always wondered why. And when I'm with him, we do eat dinner particularly late.
Yep. Yeah. So he's probably he has all that glucose. He goes to sleep, and now the glucose starts to go down, and then there's going to be a point at which the body registers that it hits a new low, and then it triggers it, and all of a sudden triggers cortisol and releases glucose from other body parts.
Okay.
And the body takes that as, we're running from a tiger, get up, out of bed, go.
So it wakes you up.
Yeah.
And to avoid that, what would you do? You'd recommend not eating so late?
Yeah, not eating so late, but the more you fast, the more you stabilize that blood sugar, and you don't have those highs and lows as much. It's a way of bringing balance back to the whole blood sugar system.
I have to say, we talk a lot about, we've talked extensively about fasting today. And one of the concerns I have about talking about this subject matter is the implications it has for people with eating disorders.
Yep.
Because it's quite easy to conflate messages if you're not able to fully understand the context of everything.
Yep.
And I'm sure that's a topic you've thought about. I think you actually write about it in one of the later chapters in your book, in chapter 10.
Yep.
To lose, then you probably shouldn't be going and
it's one that we thought a lot about when we wrote the book. So I want to say that first, that when the book was put together, that was definitely something my agent, publisher, everybody was really keen on. How can we tread that lightly? And here's my stance on it. The first is that if you have a severe eating disorder, I'm going to recommend that if you want to learn to fast, you need to bring your therapist into it. You need to bring your doctor into it. You need another set of eyes to help you navigate that. So that would be the first thing that I would say. Second thing, I'm going to go back to this woman that I worked with who had severe eating disorders. And she's been very, very public about her eating disorders. And I didn't start with fasting. I started with food with her. So we started by stabilizing her blood sugar first. And then once I saw that those spikes on her glucose monitor were in a place I wanted, were more steady, then I introduced fasting, because she was seeing food as a real healing tool. And then I could patch on fasting as an adjunct to it. And she's doing incredible. So there's just a different approach, but I really encourage that you work with your practitioner or your therapist.
Where do I start? I'm sold. You've sold me on fasting. I'm going to become a faster.
I'm telling you guys.
Where do I start, Mindy?
So the first place to start is you want to think about compressing your food into one eating window. So let me start by asking you, what time do you typically finish eating dinner?
I told you this off camera, and I told you not to mention it. So.
Sorry. Okay, on a good day.
On an ideal day. So my issue is, I'm going to be honest, because that's the point of this podcast. The issue I have is I wake up in the morning, I then begin work, and I'll eat my first meal. This is quite shocking, in fact. I'll eat my first meal around, I'm going to say, between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m., depending on how busy my schedule is. Sometimes there's been days, I remember one particular day, it's actually when I found out that I do this, I took someone with me for the day. They were shadowing me for the day. And it got to 7 p.m. and they go, "We haven't eaten today."
Oh, wow.
And I didn't notice. I had no idea that I hadn't eaten that day. So I'm a very late eater. But then the issue is I will go to the gym, usually in the evening, usually after work, often between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. And then when I get home from the gym,
doesn't have kids.
I go to sleep like a good boy. No,
this is where you go wrong. This is it.
Yeah, this is where it goes downhill. Then I'll eat something.
That was
pretty late at night,
too, and I was not.
And that could be midnight.
So what I heard in that is your eating window is 2 to 12.
2 to 12, yeah.
So that you're in a 10-hour eating window.
Yeah.
So in the morning, are you doing coffee?
Yeah. I do now, mainly because of this podcast. But
okay.
Yeah.
But you're not eating anything else in the morning.
No, not really. No, no. I don't eat breakfast. There's no days in my life where I eat breakfast, really.
No, not really.
The earliest I might eat is midday.
Okay. So if you choose to make 2 your time that I call it opening up your eating window, you're going to start eating. So you would go 2 to 12. That's 10-hour eating window. It's not, and we'll work on your window here in a moment. That's leaving 14 hours of fasting. About 15 hours, you're going to start to get the testosterone increase. So okay. I would say, can we make it a 9 or even an 8-hour eating window, especially because you told me your goals and your fitness goals. I would think for you an 8-hour eating window would be great. So you have an option. You can either not eat when you get home from the gym, and now we're at...
Oh, I'm just so hungry.
Right. Or you could push it back to 3 before, or 4, you said sometimes, where you don't eat.
What would be ideal?
Well, you definitely just don't want to eat when it's dark out. So ideal would be an 8-hour eating window, finishing right now it's summer, so finishing at 9. And then you would work back. Yeah, so you would do like 1 to 9.
Or 12 to 8.
Or 12 to 8, yeah.
Or 11 till 7.
Right.
It's not going to happen. I'll do the 1 till 9 that you said.
Yeah.
Because I go to the gym often quite late in the UK, so that means I can eat after the gym.
And then here's a little hack, is that, and I want to make sure that people don't lose sight. What I just did with you is customize it to your lifestyle, and I think that's really important. You just take that eating window and you figure out what's the best, where it fits for you. I do this with people who have families. They want to sit down and eat dinner. So don't skip dinner with your kids. Like, sit and enjoy that. you sound like that from a fitness and work level, that's working for you. So let's keep it like that. Let's not move that around too much. But for your fitness goals, 1 day a week, I'd like to see you elongate your fast, push your fast. Like, could you go 20 hours, 24 hours of fasting where you're just having one meal a day? Because what you're going to do is you're going to put your body into a little bit of a state of stress where all the things we've talked about are going to start to, the healing is going to happen at a much quicker rate.
You're saying once in a while?
Yes, once a week for you.
Once a week.
Yeah.
So once a week, go like 24 hours without eating.
That's right. Or we call it 1 meal a day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else I need to know to get started?
I mean, coffee can be your friend. Putting MCT oil in it can help you get ketones a little bit quicker. So I don't know if you ever put oil in your coffee, but
I have MCT oil on my counter at home because I did the keto diet.
Yeah, so just put it in your coffee. It'll switch you over and it'll get those ketones going a little quicker. There is something I wrote about in the book called a fasted snack. And the fasted snack is pure fat bomb. They're hard to find. It's a fat bomb, so it has no carbs, very little protein. It's all fat. So an example of one might be an avocado. Is pretty fat dense. It does have some carbs, but the one I love, it's something called a keto cup, and it's MCT oil with cacao butter and some chocolate, just pure chocolate wrapped around it. It looks like a little Reese's peanut butter cups.
Guys,
you can do those in your fasting window, and they won't switch you over because they're pure fat. So fasted snacks can be really helpful. The research shows that you get all the benefits of fasting, but you're popping these little keto cups in your mouth all day long.
What is the most important thing we haven't talked about, in your view?
Ooh. I think the most important thing is for people to realize that there's not the perfect path. There's just your path. So take everything we talked about and find the threads that resonate with you and put those into action. And then maybe you come back and listen to the podcast again and you take another thread. But we have to stop trying to do our diet like everybody else around us. There's your diet. And that's really what I'm trying to get, is that people build a lifestyle that's unique to them. N of one. Be your own N of one. It's really the most beautiful place to live.
And you'll know by paying attention.
Yeah, they say in a study, they always say like the N is how many people were in the study. And so they'll say like N of 100, N of 1,000. So N of one is one person was in the study.
Be your own study.
Be your own study.
Yeah.
Your own experiment.
Yeah.
We have a closing tradition on this podcast where the last guest asks a question for the next guest. And the question that's been left in the Diary of a CEO for you is... interesting.
Uh-oh.
It's actually not that profound or interesting, but it's... I feel like you're the type of person that will interpret a deeper meaning than this question maybe is alluding to. But really think about this.
Okay.
How do you take care of you?
That's a great question.
That's a little question.
I could answer that question on a health level. Like I have a really strong health routine. I get up in the morning, I meditate. I have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber at home. I pop in my chamber. I read. The first 2 hours of my day are for me first before anybody else. So I have that part of me, but I want to give a deeper answer to that. I'm really getting to know myself and what my needs are, especially as a 53-year-old woman who's moving through menopause, and really honoring that how I care for myself is more important than anything else. And what I mean by that is when I say no to things, not overscheduling myself, putting my needs before everybody else's. These are things I haven't done in my life. And right now I'm really working on caring for myself first
Right now.
so that I can pour love into the world after that. Love me first.
Why is that important?
I think for me, I have been in the healing profession for so long. I've been a mother, a wife, and I've done everything for everybody else. And I stand here at 53 saying, I'm going to start doing things for me now. And that feels like self-love. And that feels like where health is going to live for me. And I haven't spent much time doing that in my life. So I'm learning to do it for the first time now.
Yeah.
Mindy.
That's so important.
Dr. Mindy Pelz. That is beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wisdom. You're a remarkable, engaging, captivating storyteller, author, content creator, and a wonderful practitioner at everything you do. You've helped so many people with your work, and I was so excited when they told me I'd have the honor of having a conversation with you today. This is one of those conversations that genuinely will change people's lives. And isn't that an amazing thing?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Isn't that an amazing thing that we can sit here and all the stuff you've shared will have a significant impact on one person's life, millions of people's lives, hundreds of thousands of people's lives, which will mean that they live a more fulfilled existence. They can kiss their and hug their kids for longer.
Yeah.
And that is because of the work you do. So on behalf of all of those people who may never get to meet you in person and thank you themselves, thank you.
Oh, thank you. I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here, for the thoughtful questions, and really allowing me to express what I hope does exactly that. And
you guys, that was so good. If you missed the first part of this, you should definitely go and check out my previous podcast. Episode 5 is the first part. I'm going to go back and rename it so you'll know exactly which one was the first part. But this was so good. I mean, from the very jump of this doctor sharing her knowledge and sharing all the information that over decades, all of these doctors have been trying to communicate to us, and it just keep getting shut down, and them getting flagged and canceled, and their accounts blocked for sharing knowledge with us that would help us have a better impact on our own lives in a simple way that doesn't need the food and drug companies gaining more of your money to keep you sick, to keep you on the drugs, to keep you in a diabetic state, to keep you obese, to keep your body in a space that needs and relies on them prescribing you these prescriptions that you really truly in the end aren't going to need if you get your body back in check, which is 100% attainable unless you were born with some type of dysfunction that your body doesn't produce enough of, and maybe you have to rely on it for that realm. But for most of us, for many of us, I know for nearly 100% of my clients, they all have been induced that on themselves from poor lifestyle, poor habits, poor eating habits, poor exercise habits. And what we learned here today is it is attainable. You can reverse the process. I know I've seen it done in all of my clients. Not one client have I ever had that has been through my process and said, oh, I didn't gain anything from that, or I didn't gain as in I didn't gain any knowledge, I didn't gain better health, I didn't gain a better lifestyle. Everyone has been so super satisfied by giving it a go, even though at first a little bit resistant because of the way that it sounds like, oh, okay, so 80% is what I put in my mouth. We're going to be doing these workout schedules, slow roll into the workout, but really 80% of your outcome for all of this is what goes into your mouth each day and your schedule for that. So if we're going to go do this like bomb workout, and then you're going to go and eat a bunch of processed foods and refined sugars, well, you're going to look at me and go, well, I'm doing all these workouts, but nothing's really, I see myself shaping up and I am getting stronger, but I don't see the scale moving that much. Well, because you're going home and you're eating all of these processed foods. And then on top of that, you're eating at all hours. You don't have a window in any realm. And this is what's going to happen. So what I then say when we're already on this path of wellness, we're on this new journey together to become your best life from the inside out. Then I say, okay, here's what I want you to do. You really want to see big moves? You really want to commit? Give me 5 days. Give me 5 days. Follow exactly what I'm going to say with how you eat for 5 days, which isn't really a whole lot of changes to, I don't really change a whole lot other than shrinking the window, taking out all the snacks, just shrinking the window, taking out all the healthy snacks, unhealthy snacks. Actually, in the very beginning, I don't even take all that stuff out. I just shrink the window. I just say you have got to eat in a 10-hour window. You can't eat in a 14-hour window. You need at least that extra time, that 14 hours for your body to fast. We got 24 hours in a day. 10 hours, you have your time to eat. So do that. And then the second day, okay, what I want you to do is take out sodas, sweet teas, sugary drinks. I want you want to drink something that's got some flavor, maybe do like a Mio in your drink, or just flavor it with some lemon and some monk fruit or some stevia, something like that. That's all we're going to do. Remember, it's only 5 days, 5-day commitment. By the end of that 5 days, they've either lost 8 pounds or 12 pounds in that 5 days just from shrinking this time. And by then, you are so motivated. I'm telling you, you are so motivated because you see the proof in the pudding that you're just like, okay, this is it. I'm doing what next? Like, what's the next part of this? It is so motivating to watch. And it's not just the scale. You start to feel different. Your brain starts to your brain starts to respond differently. You're remembering more, you're more clarity, you're more driven, your estrogen is up or your testosterone is up, and you are just living in your best zone where your body wants to be before you're putting all the crap in it that slows it down and makes it feel lethargic and tired and cloudy and moody. Maybe your mood swings are like up and down, and you're tired of all of that. You're tired of being tired. I'm telling you, it is so simple as tightening up your schedule. That's the simple part. The hard part is tightening up your schedule. The hard part is saying, you know what, it's usually because you're bored. You're used to eating something or putting something in your mouth. Just saying no. That's the hard part, is saying no to that food. Saying no, like, I don't need that right now. I'm going to go take a walk. Or instead, I'm going to sit here and do some resistance bands. Having those bands, there's no reason that you shouldn't have something active that you can do if you're able to do the activity. Even if you're sitting down, even if you're in a wheelchair, you have the resistant bands. You have a way to do activity. Those things are like $8, and I'm constantly posting about them. They're on my page for sure. But those resistant bands, you can find them on Amazon. They send them right to your house. You keep them around, keep them wherever you are. You're sitting there, you feel like you want to have a snack and you don't really need it. It's not in your window anymore. Do some resistant band activities, and it will release good endorphins, and you will not think about that anymore. It will release that adrenaline, and you won't be thinking about food anymore. It actually take your hunger away. So the apple cider vinegar cocktail I'm constantly talking about. It's apple cider vinegar with some lemon, and you can even put Truvia or stevia or monk fruit in there if you want to sweeten it a little bit and make a little cocktail. You could put some sparkling water of some sort and make it a little fun. That spritzer will definitely save you from eating something that you don't need to. Also, having healthy snacks handy, just having like some carrots or some celery or some like any kind of fruit that's readily available to you that you don't have to cut up. So what I like to do is take a sundae and prepare all that stuff. So put it in little containers, like already have it all cut up in the containers and ready to roll. Apples, whatever, don't cut the apples up, but having them washed and ready to go, that doesn't take any extra time, because when you get to that space where you want something, you're just going to grab something quick and handy. And if you have these things on hand, it's a little tip and a little trick to keep you focused. And this is why if you ever see people that are really into fitness, right? They're constantly like posting workout videos or whatever. They're usually also posting meal prep. If you ever heard meal prep, that means they're prepping all their meals for the week. So they have it readily available. They're spending hours in one day. Usually it's a Sunday. They're taking all their time to weigh out, make all their food, package it up, or at least for like the next 5 days, they're weighing out all their food so it's readily available to grab and eat. So therefore you're not apt to, okay, well, I didn't get anything today. I forgot to bring my food, so I'm going to stop by a fast food place and grab this, because that's what happens. There's a chemical that releases in your brain that says you need carbs or you need food. If you can bypass that until you can get to something healthy, I promise you, and you have it readily available, it's going to change that lifestyle. And also, don't have all that stuff that you don't have any control around. Don't have it in your immediate grab. Don't have that stuff to where you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's right here. Okay, this is a little, for instance, my husband went and they have these amazing chocolate chip cookies, and the bakery makes them, and they come in like these big boxes, this like, I don't know, a 40 count of chocolate chip cookies, and left them sitting on the island in the kitchen. Guess what everybody wants? If they're hungry, they're feeling it for a snack, guess what everybody wants to grab at? Is the chocolate chip cookies, right? Because they're right there, they're readily available, they're staring you in the face, and it's something easy and quick to grab. Now, if that was a plate of celery or something, and maybe it wouldn't get snagged up so quickly. But if you're hungry enough, and I know that my family likes to eat celery with peanut butter, or you can have some carrots. If you anything that, I don't know, grapes, tangerines, any kind of thing like that. My family likes cantaloupe. I'll put it in the refrigerator, make it real cold, cut it up. Sometimes I even freeze it. It's so yummy, frozen grapes and frozen cantaloupe. And it's a nice sweet treat for the kids, and they love it. Simple stuff like that. So making your own popsicles with, the Mio drink, the Mio that you put in the water. They got mango, they got cherry, they got all types of flavors. I try and stay away from Red 40. I'm not sure if that's in there. I have to check. But make your popsicles, put the fruit in the popsicles. It's so quick and yummy, and it's easy to grab, and it's something that's healthy for them, that's not filled with a bunch of junk, and it's something that's healthy for you if you want something sweet. It's all about that prep. You got to change your lifestyle, prep that lifestyle for that change so you can stick with it. Otherwise, it's going to be so hard to stay on track when you're hungry, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's going to take me 20 minutes to make this, or whatever, half an hour, and I got to cook up all this. Like, then I got to clean it all up. Take the day, spend that time, just try it. Just give it a go. What do you have to lose, right? Other than weight, other than your mood swings, other than being tired all the time. You have a lot of things that you gain from doing this process, and why not try? Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate that. Thanks, bud. Thanks for the love. I appreciate it. You guys, that is my time. I know you caught me at the very end, Daniel. Thank you guys that donated. I really do appreciate it. Even if you aren't in the chat, I really do appreciate you guys being a part of this. This is a part 2 you guys have got. If you did not catch this, please rewind it. This is such a great episode, especially if you have a special someone in your life, or if you're thinking about trying to get a girlfriend, or any kind of realm about trying to strengthen any relationship that you have with a girl. You should watch this. It is so juicy and so filled with great knowledge and great information. And go back and watch part 1. Part 1 is amazing too. Part 1 is what we started with. That was episode 5. So I really appreciate it. Thanks, Bo. I hope you have a great day too. Thank you guys for being a part of this Behind the Layers podcast. It's been so great. I hope you guys are gaining some knowledge. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm on YouTube. You have to put the @ symbol at Kara Chris, CHRIS TV, at Kara Chris TV on YouTube. That's where the podcast is going to be streaming from. You can't always get into the chat on Instagram or Facebook. I am just streaming to those platforms, but YouTube is where all the action happens. We're going to be here Tuesday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. And we usually are going over our time, but I thank you guys so much for being a part of it. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow at 1 Eastern time. Bye. Have a great rest of your day.